everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Pretty Poor Decisions. I am your host, Katrina Torrijos, and today we have a very, very special guest. We have Justin Bamforth in the house. Woo! Yeah! Justin, thank you so much for being here. How's it going? What have you been up to?
Everything and nothing at the same time. But I always tell people, it's better to be busy than bored. You stay out of trouble that way.
Someone told me that today. Actually, I caught up with someone over Slack and I was just like, oh my gosh, so busy. And they're like, oh yeah, better busy than bored. You have so much to do. And I was like, wow, I just had a deja vu moment right here. So as you know, Justin, you've listened to the show before.
Of course,
is all about poor decisions. So I like to start off each episode with a beverage.
Mm-hmm.
And before we start and after we end, we're listen, I always say let's pour one out for the original plan because, this is all about life's pivots and, things like that and mistakes that we've made along the way. But I haven't exactly figured out the pouring it out part because I don't want to mess up my floors. I kind of want my security deposit back. That's a work in progress. So we're just gonna cheers today.
Cheers
to having
one
you
out.
on. Yeah. What do you have going on? I have a strawberry vanilla Olipop today.
I do. Oh, that's a great flavor. Olipop makes some incredible sodas. This show is not brought to you by Olipop. It is not sponsored in any way.
I wish it was. One of these days, manifesting.
They make some great flavors, but I'm drinking some tea, some eucalyptus flavored throat coat tea.
Wow.
There you go.
Do you use it for the throat benefits?
That's right. Absolutely. So I tend to lose. I know I do. So, all right. So here we go. We'll start off with stories, right? Like you, right? I'm a podcaster. I do a couple of shows now. I lose my voice a lot. So I have to drink this tea. It's like it's the secret weapon that singers use, or so was told to me. Yeah. Because it uses licorice. And licorice coats the throat and it helps you to sustain, I guess,
Okay, well, cheers to that. Cheers to you being on the show. Cheers to your healthy throat.
There we go. And Olipop is really good too because Olipop, have you ever tried the cherry vanilla flavor?
I have. It's so good.
Oh,
I have beef with everyone who hates Olipop. And you know what? I just say
who hates Olipop?
There's a lot of people who don't like it because it's very, I don't know.
Because what? There's too many probiotics in it?
That's what I'm thinking. Ever since I turned 30, I was like, gut health is everything, directly tied to a lot of stuff, So I've just been drinking anything that says probiotics in it, probiotic soda. I did try kombucha a couple times. Not a fan. I'd rather eat a spoonful of kimchi, or yogurt.
Yogurt. I'll take the yogurt. Yeah.
You don't like kimchi?
All right. So my wife loves kimchi and she eats it all the time. But I'm really sensitive to smells. So if it's something really pungent or sour, it's very sour smells and garlic and vinegar and that sort of stuff. I know all you vinegar lovers out there,
No, I'm you better not enter a Filipino house because that's all.
Hey,
that's all it is.
It's just, I think it's as you get older, right? Your body goes through changes and I think you become more sensitive to certain things.
That is true.
Yeah, because I can, my sense of smell is extreme now. So I pick up anything. Same thing with my sense of hearing, my hearing ability. I can hear your thoughts right now. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's really strange. But we'll get into some of this later tonight. But sensitivities, even in the metaphysical sense too.
We're itching to get into it. We're itching to get into it. And we will definitely get there. We'll save it for, the last half of the podcast because I know by the time this episode comes out, we'll be around mid-October, late October-ish. So we'll be well into the spoopy vibes. But before we hop into it, let's chat. We've known each other for a very long time, I think. Right? How many years has it been?
It's been a long time. So that would
2019?
Yeah, I remember it was around when the Eagles won the Super Bowl the first time, or not last season, but the season a couple seasons before that. So I think that was around 2018, maybe 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did we even meet? Do you remember?
I do. So it was, I was thinking about it the other day. All right. So to those of you who are familiar with the Adobe Creative Career Discord server,
There it is.
there it is.
My
There's
first
the plug.
child.
There it is. Right. Which you developed, you helped build. I mean, it's massive today. I mean, it is, well, before all that, it started off as something called what? The Adobe Awards, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
Right.
Keep going. Keep talking.
So,
You're jogging my memory.
but before all that, it started, I attended Adobe Max 1 year. It was out in LA.
Which year?
I think it was 2019, I believe.
Wow.
I think so. It was either 2018 or 2019. I think it was 2019.
Okay. That was also my first Max.
Right. Whatever your first Max was, that was my first Max as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Because that was the one where we were in the same hotel, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
The
And
intercom.
we were, yeah. And we were waiting for for Uber, which audience.
You remember so much. I don't
do.
remember this. Okay.
Audience, if you had met Katrina back then, she is a completely different Katrina than what she is today. I mean, the confidence level today is like astronomical. It's incredible. Like you have grown so much, like and become like just this powerhouse of creativity and just hosting and just amazing stuff.
Thank you.
But back then, it was much different. I remember it was like just trying to like have a conversation with you was much different than it is today.
Wait, tell me. Yeah. Please tell me. What was that like? Was it like pulling teeth?
No, it wasn't painful like that, right? But it was like it was just your charisma, your energy, your vibe. It was always positive. It was always good, right? And it was always great. But it's like magnified even more. Like it is gone to like a superhuman scale to like it incredible. Like it is. I'm excited for your future, Katrina, because I think you're going to do some incredible stuff. You're already doing incredible stuff. In fact, I had heard that you won an award recently, right?
I did. Yeah. I did. I won a Really. So this is a new award show. It was in its second year. It's hosted by your social team. And the awards that I won this year, you're going to laugh so much. I won Best Lazy Reel and Most Unhinged Reel. And I was a finalist for Funniest Reel. So if that tells you anything about my personality, my true final form, summed up into those 3 awards.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. See this is part of your journey, right? Like it's, but that's how we learn, or that's how we grow rather, is we grow through our experiences. We learn through them, right? It's never, I always tell people, it's never a mistake as long as you learn from it. If you don't learn from it, then it's clearly a mistake. But it's like, you have to have those rough patches in life in order to get to the greener pastures, you know? And the reason I bring that up is because before I went to Max, which is where we first connected, I was going through a really rough time in my life, both professionally, personally. Like, it's basically everything that could go wrong went wrong. And it was like, I was trying to get out of a dead end job. I had just like started a new, this was before all this. I just started a new job, which thankfully was awesome. Like that opened up so many doors. But before that, it was just a dark time in my life. Like, again, I was trying to find jobs. I was not having much success.
Were you in design already?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I've been in the design field my entire career, but I couldn't get ahead in life. Like I was tired of just doing the same positions. It was just go from one graphic designer role to another lateral designer position to another lateral designer position. Like I couldn't get ahead. And I don't know, it was just, there are a lot of toxic environments. I think at that point rather, I had applied to over 360 different jobs within a year. And
60?
Yeah.
That's like one a day.
That's right. And those were the ones that I kept track of.
Wow.
it was, and I was just getting rejected by every single one. And I remember in that moment, and again, on top of all, not to turn this into like a sad story, but it's
No,
like,
you're good.
it's
Keep it going.
part of the origin story, right?
Yeah.
Like, my marriage at that time was failing. I was about to lose my house. Friends of mine who I thought would, be with me forever, were just like, say, see you later, right? People were dying. Like, it was really dark. It was really bad. And on top of this, I had this job situation. And I remember at that point, I was like, all right, what the heck do I do? And I remember at that point of darkness, not to turn this into like, like a sermon or anything, but I remember getting back in touch with my faith, looking at things more through like a different perspective, a different lens. And I think from that point on, then I wasn't as depressed about things, right? Because I was like, all right, you know what? I'm getting all these things thrown my way. What am I going to do about it, right? I can either complain about it or I can look at it from a healthier perspective. And that's what I started to do. And then I remember when I got out of that cloud of darkness, so to speak, things started brightening up. Opportunities started happening. And I remember one friend told me one point when I kept like just being rejected at every turn, she said to me, she goes, the more you fixate on the negativity, the more it's going to attract it into your life. And this gets into like manifestation and all that stuff, right? Like, and there's really something to be said about that. It's like positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. Charismatic people attract other charismatic people, right? Like, you can build connections. You can meet the right people if you have the right frame of mind, if you have the right perspective. Because nobody wants to hang out with somebody who's in a cloud, right? Isn't it like a dark cloud? So it was an interesting turning point. And then at that point, I remember I got 2 job offers on the same day and didn't expect that to happen. And I remember in that moment, I was like, all right, well, which job should I take? I didn't know. So again, I'm a very spiritual person. So I prayed about it and I was like, all right, God, like, what do you want me to do here? Right. And then I just remember the revelation, if you will, that came to me was take the job you're most afraid of. Yeah. How about that for an answer, right?
Love that answer.
Yeah. So the 2 job opportunities were this. One was only 20 minutes away from my house. I could work remotely. And this was before working remotely was a thing. So there weren't many of those jobs in the world, right? And I would get my own office. It was a UX position. It was with a great company. And I had a friend who already worked there. So I would have that familiarity and I wouldn't feel like such a stranger, right? That was the comfortable one. The other one was just outside New York City, headquartered in Newark, New Jersey, which is not a really nice neighborhood or a nice city to those of you who have been to Newark, but it's right outside New York City. And but for me, that would mean like a longer commute. I'd have to wake up at the crack of dawn every morning. I have to take a train in. It's like 2 hours each way. Like it was just ridiculous. But it was an art director position, so it was like a step up. Yeah. But I was scared of that. But the answer that I felt was take the job you're most scared of. So that's what I did. And had I not taken that, I would have never gone to Max. I would have never met you. I would have never started all these things. Like, long story short, right? That company, they're called Edison Properties, and they had hired me as an art director there. And they had told me, hey, there's a creativity conference called Adobe Max. You want to go? Sure. Yeah. Never heard of it. So I went there and I remember going to you at your booth, you and Lisa Temple, you're sitting there with the one booth there, and you were looking for, people who were just interested in just being part of this educational endeavor, whatever that meant. I didn't even know what it was. And I think it was like, just sign your name or like, express your interest, whatever. Okay, whatever, right? So I just, great, I'm interested. No idea what I was getting into. Had a blast at Max. It was awesome. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, Katrina, I think I went out there a year before you.
Probably.
I think this was a year before you. So you went, so your first one was in 2019 then, right?
Yes.
So then my first one was in 2018, now that I think about it.
Okay.
So you weren't, I don't recall seeing you actually, now that my memory's coming back, right? But I remember just signing some paper and just say, hey, I'm interested, or typing it in like some iPad. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
It wasn't until like several months later they contacted me and they said, hey, you want to be part of the Adobe Awards program? Sure. All right. You want to be a judge for these things, for this event, right? Okay.
That's
sure,
when I
whatever.
started. Yep.
Yep.
On Adobe Awards. Got it. Okay.
So then I was part of that. I would give feedback based on what was submitted by other creators. And it was awesome, right? Like I was giving, I like to write. So I was giving a very extensive, thorough, in-depth, analysis of their work and all this stuff. I probably wrote too much, but whatever. You guys loved it.
Let's talk about that really quick, because I know nothing about the mentorship part of that. Like, because it was a lot of creative veterans, in the space that were the panel, right? The panel of judges. So, like, what was that experience from your perspective? Because I know the students' perspective and but I haven't really heard much about how you perceive that program and like your process and everything.
So again, it was a long time ago. So if I'm getting some details wrong, forgive me.
That's
out
okay.
There.
We're trying our best.
We're trying our best. I remember it took a lot of time to do because there were a lot of entries. And
it was a global competition.
Yeah. Yeah. To those of you unfamiliar with the Adobe Awards, it was like you could enter in all these categories and there were all these panel judges like myself who specialized in certain things. So like I wasn't a judge on some sort of like illustrating, right? I'm not an illustrator.
What category did you have?
I think I had graphic design, UX design, and photography, I believe.
Okay, cool. So you had multiple.
Yeah.
You were busy.
Oh, yeah. Because like there were so many submissions and so much, so much great work. So it was like you had to comb through all of this. You had to look at the project. And then, again, out of respect for the young creators out there, right? Like you're supposed to provide feedback to them, as to why you thought the project was good, why you didn't think it was good, what could have been improved, all this stuff. So again, I put on my art director hat and I like try to think, all right, what would be the best feedback that I could give someone that could actually help them grow? That was my main goal. So that's what I did. And I wrote a lot. And I remember spending days on this, like writing these like analyses.
Do you remember how many students
a lot
or projects you've seen?
I don't remember the exact amounts, but I remember
a ballpark. What did it feel like?
It felt like hundreds. Don't know I can't recall if it was, but I remember there were a lot.
Okay.
And again, I wanted to take the time on every single one. So I spent several hours on each candidate. Because, again, it's, this isn't just about like getting an award. It was about like, how do you, what can you do with that information, right? Because they spent a lot of time submitting. So I felt like I owed them a lot of time with a good analysis. Anyways.
Yeah.
They did that for a couple of years. And then they decided, hey, we're going to take this to the next level. We're not going to do the Adobe Awards anymore. We're going to do what's called this mentorship program, which started off, if I recall, it was in Slack. And then you guys realized that, hey, the younger generation isn't using Slack. They're using Discord. So we moved to Discord, right? And we started building all of these things in Discord. And it was really fun. But when I met you in 2019, I don't think the Discord had been created then, right?
No, we were still on Slack. We moved to Discord during the pandemic 2020 because we needed a gathering space for when Adobe Max comes. And that's how we can activate and engage the students. And I think that's when we did the student experience, the virtual student conference before the conference. So I think that's the mentorship program you're talking about.
Yes.
That we made it bigger and we made it virtual and accessible.
Yeah.
Memories coming back.
Yeah, exactly. And I hadn't really thought about it until recently because like they're always evolving over at Adobe.
Yeah.
They're always making new stuff, as you know. They're always expanding upon stuff. And now the mentorship program, it looks completely different, right? It's a lot
different.
more. Yeah, it's a lot more extensive now. There's a lot more mentors. There's a lot more opportunities. Now it's the creative apprenticeship program and the
Mm-hmm.
commission projects. And I'm working with Catherine Chu with that. And it's a lot of fun. And now I have a show on there called Spotlight Sessions,
Yeah.
which, yeah, it's a lot has happened, but the reason I bring all that up is none of it would have happened had I not taken a chance, had I not done something that I was afraid to do. Had I not been in a terrible environment that led me to a better one, because like life, I know it's going to sound like cliched, but like life really is a roller coaster. There's going to be some highs, there's going to be some lows, but remember, it's always a season of life, right? And a season is only temporary. So if you're listening to this now, if you're watching this, whatever, if you're falling asleep to it, just remember that no matter what situation you're in, good or bad, it will change into something else. So if you're in a good situation, don't take it for granted. If you're in a bad situation, keep your head up. So that's kind of how that happened and how we connected. And here we are today doing your show.
I know. And I just want to say, like, seeing you still be probably the most active, if not one of the most active members, mentors in the Discord. It's been such a joy to like see you still activate and engage and inspire these students, because a lot of the mentors have dropped off, which, as you said, seasons of life, things happen, it pulls you in different directions. Some people move away from spaces and some people join, but when I think of this Discord now, I think of you. I'm like,
Really?
this is Justin's space, like this,
Boy.
like he is one of like, the most influential people in the space. And it warms my heart to know that as a mentor throughout all the years that you're still, you still have the same drive, passion, and love for serving not only students, but other creatives in the community and inspiring them. So I just want to say,
Wow.
thank you. It's
Hey,
been amazing.
look, it's my honor and it's my duty, right, to keep it going because you spent a lot of
Mhm.
time building that,
I
and
did. I didn't know anything. Well, I did know some stuff about Discord, but building one, learning about bots, hiring moderators. This was the first community I've ever like built from scratch, and also like building the systems within it, And granted, it was very scrappy in the beginning. So many, so many failed projects, but it was a great like playground or sandbox for these other programs to grow
yeah.
within.
Well, it's great, those of you watching, like, tune in and be a part of it. It's called the Adobe Creative Career
Yes.
Discord.
Discord.gg/ACC.
There it
I
is.
still remember.
Yes, still works. So join it, be part of the conversation. I'm on there, Katrina's on there, like a lot of great people are on there.
Yeah.
And it's fun. So that's a little nutshell how that came to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny. It really is funny how life works.
It is.
It's just like, if you think back to like some of the most defining times in your life, and you too, viewer, if you look back on it and you find out like, okay, how did I get here? You'll find that there were a series of fortunate mistakes and interesting detours that in the moment they don't make sense to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
They really don't. And that's kind of like, but there are defining moments in my life that I can look back on now and realize, wow, if I had turned right instead of left, I would have been in a totally different situation, met different people. Like, it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible.
It's crazy how one decision can really change the trajectory of your life. And like I'm spiritual as well, Justin. So when you're talking about like manifestation and that, believing that in life, like things happen for a reason and how they're meant to, like it just it just brings me back to like what my crossroads to Adobe was. And in short, I'm not going to go into it, Justin, but I was working like, I think I was working like a part-time. Yeah, I was working part-time at a gym. I had an unpaid social media internship that I was basically volunteering for in the daytime, just working that 2-job life, barely making ends meet. And I had to, pay bills. And when I was applying for jobs, the only offer I had on the table, Justin, was to do marketing for taxidermy.
Oh, wow. What are you?
Taxidermy.
Wow.
They wanted
Whoa.
videos. They wanted they wanted Yelp marketing for tactical gear. And I remember interviewing stuffed animals everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know nothing about this world. I'm not shitting on it, but I'm also like, I don't know if I belong here. But I kept that offer on the table for like a week or two, which don't do that. Don't leave, like definitely give them an answer ASAP. But there was a push-pull kind of thing where I was like, this is the only full-time offer I have, but also this doesn't align with what I want to do. Who do I follow? And then there was one day they kind of made the decision for me. Like that email said, clearly you're not that interested in this role. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I was like, okay, bye. And then so I remember thinking, damn, back to square one, like rent's due in 2 weeks. What am I going to do? And then in that 2 weeks, I got a tag on Facebook from an influencer I worked with, like with the social media internship, that his old boss was Lisa Temple, who was looking for a social media manager.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was a designer for Spark. So just a random Tuesday Facebook tag. I was like, what is this? And they're just like, you should apply for this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, first of all, it was part-time, 3 months contract, and I had to be on site in San Francisco. And I lived in San Jose at the time. So it was like about an hour apart, about roughly 1.5 hour train back and forth. And I was like, it's kind of getting far.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of far. It's only 3 months. Like, what the heck? Can I really, like, commit to this, Kind of need something long-term. But then after a while, I was like, even to have Adobe on the resume, even if it was for 3 months, that will open some doors, surely. So I was like, F it. Sent the resume. Did it. Surprisingly, I got a call back, weirdly enough. And then, 3 rounds of interviews later, and then 7 years later, I'm still here.
Here you are, and it's just what viewer, you got to understand something here, right? Like, Katrina is going from what you just heard, right? Being offered a job with, and no disrespect to taxidermy, but it's not for everyone. Being offered a job that she's not really interested. Yeah, sure, it would pay the bills. Yeah, it's the comfortable thing to do. Yeah, it's safe, right? But you took a chance. You did something that may not have turned out very well, but it did turn out well. And here, you are now on stage at Max, hosting sessions, like
turn of events.
A turn of events, yeah. And that's the funny thing about life. That's like, and that's why I like your show too, because like, what seems like a poor decision doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end up that way. It could just be a detour that you have to take to go around, to avoid the accident on the road, to get back on the main highway in the direction that you really want to go. Or maybe it's a detour that shows you a different side of, or a different scenery, right? Like, that you have to take note of, that you never noticed before. I don't know. It's like even today, right? Like, so I talked about that job that I had with Edison Properties, in the New York City area. Fantastic job. I got to go to Max twice. Pandemic happened. We then became, remote. And as many people know, as we emerged from the pandemic, society was all happy, right? Everything was going to be grand. Everything was going to be great. And then layoffs started happening again, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I lost my job there. They were downsizing the company, which is fine. Like, but I didn't know what I was going to do. So fortunately, I was able to still do freelance work for them. I was able to also do some other freelance assignments here and there with other clients. So I got a severance check from them, to keep me afloat for a little bit. But then that ran out, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I started applying again to other jobs, and to get back in corporate America. But here we are again. I was getting rejected at every turn. I would go on interviews. I would make it to the final stage. I would, do those panel, interviews, whatever. You're meeting with 20,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have this job. I'm great. This is awesome. This is a leadership role. I can't wait. And then you get the automated email response, chose somebody else. No reason given, nothing, just whatever, right? And it reminded me of when I was looking for jobs the last time. Things would happen in the most surprising ways, the most ridiculous ways. They say, I say it too, the power of networking, there's something to that, right? But sometimes power of networking isn't as powerful as you think, especially when you're meant to take a detour, but you don't know it yet. I had friends working at certain companies that were very high up there. They're very well respected. They have influence in their positions. I still couldn't get a job with those companies. It's insane. I tried every angle, every aspect, every technique I could to try to get a job in corporate America, and I just was being rejected left and right. So I remember at that point, again, here comes the dark cloud coming over,
okay.
Right?
We need them dark clouds.
I was getting really frustrated. And this was actually last year, to be honest. I was having a tough time last year, and bills were piling up. And I thought to myself, okay, there is a possibility I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to lose my house here. I don't know what to do. I'm trying everything I can. And then, again, I just thought, all right, I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to find out, okay, God, you have me in this situation. What do you want me to do with it? Now, at this time, I had also touched base with another friend of mine who had written a novel. And she wanted to adapt that novel into a film. And I said to her, good luck with that, right? Because that's just, okay, yeah. You
Good
and
luck
everyone
with
else.
that.
Yeah,
That's
you and
crazy.
everyone else wants to do that, sure, right?
Yeah, okay.
But, she's a good friend, and, I was like, all right, hey, look, however I can help you, let me know. And she told me, she's like, no, I'm going to do this. Okay. Again, good luck with that, right? Whatever. I'm still applying to jobs. I'm still I got to find out what I'm doing. A couple months later, she reached back out to me, and she said, hey, I connected with some people. They want to turn my project into a film. I went, really? Okay. All right. And she's like, I want to bring you on as a creative consultant for this because it deals with aspects of the paranormal. And she wanted that authenticity in the paranormal field to be, put into this film. So I said, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. However, I could be of assistance, right? So then I started thinking about my situation. What do I really want to do in life? Do I really want to go back into corporate America? Because yes, corporate America is great. It's comfortable, right? You get paid a lot of money. You get benefits, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that, with working for a company. But when you work for yourself, you have more freedom. Yes, it's scarier. You may not know where the next check may come from. You have a lot of work one month and then no work the next month. It really is like a feast or famine sometimes. But I thought, I've never done that before. I've never done full-time freelance work. Maybe I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll try it. So, I remember talking with my wife about this, and she's like, yeah, I'll support you, whatever. So she wasn't working at the time either. So then I thought, all right, you know what? Let me
that's
find
even
out.
scarier.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
Both parties were, yeah.
Yeah, so it was scary. It took and I won't get into all the details, but what had happened then is I wasn't able to find one main job
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I found a bunch of smaller jobs that created the income as if I had one main job. So I was doing a lot of things. I mean, literally, and even today, I'm doing a lot of things, right? So, I was doing design work. I was doing just random jobs. Like if there was like a part-time opportunity, I would just take it, doing whatever. I was connecting with people that I knew who, had temporary assignments. Okay, sure, like I'll do this, I'll do that. I was selling stuff online, like all my collectibles and comic books, because I'm a big comic collector. I had to liquidate everything, right? I was just like, I gotta find some way to bring in income. And I was doing freelance creative work too. She comes back to me, the person who wanted to turn their novel into a film. She goes, "Hey, it's gonna happen. We got some funding. We're going to make it work." All right, great. So she sent me the script.
Wait, backtrack
Yeah,
a little bit.
sure.
You're going to be the consultant, the creative consultant on
Yeah, creative
this,
consultant. Yeah.
because of your background
Yep.
in paranormal
Yeah.
investigation. How did
Yes.
you receive that experience? Like, was that always something you had on the side, a hobby, or?
I've been involved in the paranormal field my entire life. I've written one book about it called The Spectrum.
What?
So it's available on Amazon and your local bookstores. I've done tons of media interviews talking about it. I've, done lectures. I've, presentations. I've spoken
Did you study
with
it in school?
No, you can't study this stuff in school. It's not considered an exact science, right? Now, however, there are programs at some universities that dive into this subject. They will call it different things, and it relates to the paranormal. So you may have, a course called parapsychology. You may have something, consciousness studies. There's other things, there's other aspects to it. So it's a very large field, but my expertise was in paranormal investigating and interviewing people about their experiences, talking with them. That's what this book is all about. Some of those interviews that I've conducted with people, some of my own investigations. Anyway, so my friend knew that I specialized in this. She had seen one of my lectures at one point. And anyway, so she brought me onto the team. And I remember reading the first pass at the script and I thought, it's okay. It's okay, but it's not, I don't think it's the best it could be. And so I wrote a long treatment of the direction I would take it in, that I think would be a little bit more interesting, a little bit more entertaining. And she was like, "Oh, okay." She said, "Well, that's interesting." She's like, "Well, we're gonna have to get somebody else to write that." And I said, "Well, I have done screenwriting before. I have 2 projects that are floating around out there. They just never got picked up. Like, why don't you give me a stab at it? Like, I'd be happy to do it." So I did. I was given that opportunity. So it kind of taught me, like, don't expect opportunities. Sometimes you have to ask for them, right?
Right.
So that's what I did. And I wrote the next draft of that. We shopped that around. It's still in development right now, but that led to another screenwriting opportunity, which led to another opportunity. So long story short, I'm now involved with that group and we're developing things on a much larger scale now. So hopefully maybe a year from now, there'll be something I can actually point to and say, "Hey, you can go watch that."
Yeah, man,
So
movies take a long time.
they do. They do. There's
There
a lot.
are years in development before they actually hit the
Years.
screen.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that. Some of the projects we're talking about now, they've been in the pipeline for years. Yes, it takes a long time. But once you hit that, I guess that green light and you get everything in place, then it's like, it's super fast. So
yeah, the production part, like the filming and stuff part, is really fast compared to like the meetings, getting the funding, the drawing
Absolutely.
board, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And to know, like, again, I can't talk too much about it.
Yeah.
But at some point I will be able to, and then I'll give
We'll
you all
see you
the
on your press
information.
tour.
Yeah. Well, I'll just have to come back onto your show and talk more
Yeah.
about this stuff. But there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of direction changes that happen. And, I think I never realized it before, but like when you hear in like movie news, oh, so-and-so is attached to a project, and then the next week they're not, or there's like a huge change made, and then this happens and that happens, and it seems like so sudden and dramatic and drastic. that really takes place. Like people, names that were attached to the projects I was involved with, they're not attached anymore. But
Yeah.
some of them, I'm like, holy smokes! Like you would know these people, but like they're not part of it anymore. But they were
Yeah.
in talks with it. Like it's so fascinating. But again, all of these opportunities I don't take for granted, right? But what I do is when I'm given these opportunities, I take them very seriously, like the Adobe Awards. Hey, this may be the only opportunity I get to work with the Adobe team. I'm going to do my best, right?
Mm.
So take every opportunity that you're given and treat it like it's your last opportunity, because maybe it will be at some point, right? Like,
I just got chills. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, look, let's be honest, live every day like it's your last, because one day it will be, not to turn all morbid here, but
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
so
the truth.
it's the truth. Yeah. So like, why waste your time being unproductive? Why waste your time being bored or being uninspired or, creative? Like if you're stuck in a rut, ask yourself why. Maybe you're on a detour. Maybe, you need to be there, but temporarily. Again, if I hadn't been laid off of my job, I wouldn't have said yes to the screenwriting. I wouldn't have said yes to that because I would have been afraid. I can't leave my full-time job to do this. And when you're doing a screenplay, it takes, you're working like 10, 12 hours a day for several months just to get this toned down to something interesting, something that works. I couldn't have done that with a full-time job. So, and even like some of the opportunities I'm doing now, like with the new podcast spotlight sessions that I'm doing in partnership with Adobe, like that's an opportunity I don't take for granted, but I'm going to put my 110% on each and every episode because I owe it to you, the listeners, to put the best production forward, right? Or to present the best production to you.
You know how many people talk to me about your spotlight sessions? I've had at least like, I can't remember who it was, but sometimes when I'm meeting with students, this happened in Philly actually. Someone like did research on me, stalked my LinkedIn, all that stuff. The podcast came up, and that's how like they discovered it, and they were just like, yeah, I was like, oh, Justin Bamforth. Yeah, it was Philly. It was the Philly event. Justin Bamforth's in the building. Da, da, da. And they were just like, oh my God, I love this show. Da, da, da. So you do have listeners out there. You have a fan base.
Thank you, all 10 of you out there.
Yes.
The check is in the mail.
The check is in the mail. You're doing your thing. And also, it's evergreen content, so it's going to be there forever whenever you need it.
And one of the episodes is with you, Katrina. So like, we get into...
Can we do an update?
We should.
Because that was 3 years ago, right? Roughly?
Yeah. You were one of the first episodes that I did. And that, we'll have to do an update.
And it was a Discord session. Are they still Discord sessions?
They are. Yeah. I record them live in the Discord, in the Adobe Creative Career Discord. And then I post them on demand. They're available in whatever podcast platform you choose. Search for Spotlight Sessions or go to spotlightsessions.net. But that opportunity, right? If I had a full-time job elsewhere, if I was working for some corporate company, I wouldn't have been able to devote the time to Spotlight Sessions that I can devote today. It's like, doing a show, there's a lot of work, not just editing, not just recording, but editing the episode, promoting the episode, preparing for the episode. Like it's a lot, but it's fun. And this is what I enjoy doing. Yes, I don't have a full-time normal job. I was just talking about this with another friend, she had asked me like, hey, are you, is this your full-time job or what? And I'm like, yeah, it is now. Like, this is awesome. But it's scary. And it takes a while. You have to invest the time into those opportunities first. And eventually they will pay back. So, if you're taking on a project that may not be paid right now, but it may lead to another good opportunity, do it. So like with the movie stuff, I was consulting with them. I wasn't getting paid in the beginning.
I was just about to ask that. Were you paid for consulting or even the screenwriting or when you volunteered to do the screenwriting?
Yeah, I was later. But in the initial talks when we were just, talking about ideas and she was bouncing ideas off me. No, I wasn't paid. And there's a lot of conversations that I've had with the team where I wasn't paid, you know. So, yeah, I've spent a lot of time, but I look at it as an investment, you know, because like I know it's going to lead somewhere great in the end. And now it is. So it's really good. I just can't wait to get that one film under my belt, and then I can say, "Hey, look, here's something tangible that you can actually like
Yeah.
watch."
That's going to be really exciting once that, the fruits of your labor start to
Yeah.
show up. I'm
Well,
excited for it.
yeah, and look, it's in the realm of the spooky. I mean, that's, you know, what I love. I love scary movies. I know a lot of you don't out there, but it's you know, there's something about horror films that really get me excited, and there's something about today's horror films that really disappoint me because
Ah,
it's there's so
yeah.
many. I'm not going to say specific productions because I know a lot of people put their time and energy into creating these things.
Yeah.
And nobody sets out to make a bad movie, but I think the audience expectations are so low now
Mm,
that people have forgotten what a good film actually looks like. And so, you know, again, you know, how I got to work in that industry now, or how I am working in that industry now, is I wasn't afraid to speak up. Like if an idea
yeah.
sucked, I would tell them, "Hey, look, I don't know about this. Here's my solution."
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to like just bring up problems. I wanted to bring up solutions too. Because like
Yeah.
if you're gonna have if you're gonna have it take issue with something, you better have a remedy, or else you're just gonna look like a jerk, right?
You just
So
look like you're complaining.
yeah, complaining, and there's because there's so many people in the world who like they're also filled with that, right?
Yeah.
They have so much issues that they want to share, and just like, yeah, oh, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that. Yeah, but what are
How
you
do you
doing
fix it?
about it? Yeah, how do
Yeah.
you fix it? Yeah. That just drives me
Has
crazy.
there has there been any moment where there were ideas in like the spooky film industry where you're just like, that's cheesy, or it's, you know what I mean, it's like very
Yeah.
unrealistic? Like, would you say you see more of those types of ideas being thrown out now these days?
Yes. And it would surprise you, the types of just boring ideas and bland ideas and just like you have to take a chance on something. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't just keep recycling the same old stuff. Like it just audiences are sick of it. Um, I, I've been approached multiple times to do TV shows,
Mm.
because of my expertise in the paranormal. And I've turned those down because they just didn't align with what I was looking for, or, you know, they were cookie cutter templates that it was explained to me, well, these templates work. Yeah, well, I'm not your guy then. Like if you want to do a show
Mm-hmm.
with me, we're going to do an original show, and more importantly, one that respects the experiencers, because a
Right.
lot of times like they exploit them or
Mm-hmm.
they take a case out of context. This happened on there was a network that had approached me, and they say, "Hey, we want to feature one of your cases." And I said, "Okay, look, I don't own the rights to the stuff. Like, you please reach out to the original witness, right? Because they're going to be able to tell you the whole backstory. I can tell you
Yeah.
what I found, what I learned. Like, I'm happy to go on camera to talk about it." They didn't have me on camera to talk about it, but they did go out to the witness.
Yeah.
They interviewed him, but I warned him. I said, "Look, they're going to whittle your whole lifetime of experiences down to 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, and
Um,
they'll dramatize it and
they'll
like
dramatize it
exaggerate it, and
or take it out, or just like misconstrue things, and there's nothing,
exactly,
not a dang thing you can do
make it
about it."
for TV.
Yeah. And that's what they did. I understand the angle that they're going for, right? Creep factor, right? But
Hmm.
like, I don't want to be part of that. I'm
That's
sorry.
clickbait.
Like, yeah, it's just, and it's not
Hmm.
accurate. Like, um, I don't know, I think what's missing in Hollywood, and it's what's missing in the entertainment industry, is the authenticity of the supernatural. If you knew how weird some of these cases are, or yeah, if you knew how weird some of these cases were and are, you wouldn't have to embellish anything. You wouldn't have to um, make these such huge productions and, you know, with
Hmm.
loaded with special effects. Like, it's just creepy at its core. It's so disturbing. It's mysterious. And it's
Yeah.
not always scary. It's more often than not fascinating. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm in that field, is because it is interesting to me. And in a weird way, it kind of like, it provides answers to me on a deeper level, as to like, I don't know, like the nature of our reality, like, and the human experiences, like the things we think about, um, the stuff that I think people are too afraid to tackle because it's so, it doesn't have any concrete answers. Like I can't tell
Yeah.
you, like if somebody asked me, hey, do you believe in ghosts? Like my question is, well, what is your definition of a ghost? Because I don't think it's what it appears to be. I don't think it's just spirits of dead people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, what we deem aliens or UFO activity is visitors from outer space or some other planet. What if it's a lot stranger than that? What if it's coming from within our planet? What if it's coming from within us?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's, I don't know, a manifestation of the public's perception at large? Like, what if it's just,
Right.
what if it's our constructs? What if we're creating
Yeah.
this? And it's just part of the human experience. I don't know. Like, what if what we call a psychic phenomenon is really just an extension of another sense, a sixth sense?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really not scary, but it's mysterious, sure. So,
No, I definitely agree with you there, especially when you're saying like, um, like just what if we are creating it? Specific, like especially that statement, because when you think about like energy, people say it's like it's neither, what is it, created nor destroyed.
right.
And so I feel like, yeah, you just give me chills of like when you're saying like a lot of these things, or it's the ghosts are more than just spirits of like dead people. Energetically it could be anything classified as a ghost or
Yeah,
apparition, whatever.
it can be anything. And like, sometimes it'll, like, events will take place that
Mm-hmm.
you're not even like prepared to handle, to even like, even comprehend. Like, sometimes these things just happen in just random moments of life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more fascinated by that. Like, all right, what are the trigger events that led up to that experience, right? Like, okay, you had a strange experience. Great. That's awesome. Write it down. But I
Yeah.
want to know, like, what was your mindset just before that experience took place?
Mm-hmm.
How did that experience transform your outlook on life? Because maybe there's a clue in there. Maybe there's a reason why that experience took place to begin with. So, a lot of what happens to me personally, I write down. I have a whole log, with like my strange
Yeah.
experiences, um, dates, times, little synopsis, because memory is also very fleeting too, as you could tell from the beginning of the show when we're trying to piece together how we met. Um,
Yeah.
if something strange happens to you, write it down. You can share it with me. I'd love to hear your strange stories, especially if they don't fit into a neatly packaged categorical box, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times people share with me ghosts or UFO stories, right? Okay. But what about the weird stuff that you don't know how to classify it? I want to hear about those experiences. And because that happens to me. So we're talking about the nature of ghosts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have an experience that I'll share with you and your audience. But this kind of like, and I'll pull it from my little diary or my log that I do.
Yeah.
So I make sure I have all the details. Um, but
Your field notes.
yeah, my field notes, right. But it like, it'll make you second guess what a ghost is or what this phenomenon is, because it's so perplexing. So this happened a couple years ago. This was around 8 p.m. I was at my brother's place. And it was just the two of us. We were in his dining room. So he had actually purchased my old house from me. So I have a house in Bristol, Pennsylvania. He's the new owner of that now. I sold it to him, but at that time, he was living there, and I showed up there, and we're just in the dining room. We're talking about different types of teas. So, and he was talking about how like caffeine. I know, right? But he was talking about how like caffeine affects him, and how he tries to stay away from caffeine, at least in tea form. And then all of a sudden we heard running on the front porch. So here's the dining room, trying to paint a little picture for you guys. So here's the dining room. Here's the living room. Front porch is over here. Sorry. Dining room, living room, front porch, because that's where the entryway is, right? And then the front porch goes right to the sidewalk. So we're talking about teas. We heard this running up on the front porch, like somebody was going to come in, followed by the jiggling of the door handle. So it was a very physical thing we heard. Now, the next thing we thought is, oh my goodness, somebody's trying to break in, right? So we didn't even say anything. We just immediately run to the front door. And as he flipped on the porch light, he's peering through the curtains. He doesn't see anyone. He then opens the door and there's nothing. It's just super quiet. We looked all over the property for anyone. We looked everywhere. There's no one. The way that the porch is constructed, we would have heard somebody run off the front porch or seen them run down the street. Like it's just, we responded so quickly. And it was also right after a rainstorm. So the porch was soaked. We would have seen footprint. We would have seen some evidence. It was just dead quiet. We have no idea what happened there. Now, he's a little creeped out because he's thinking it's a ghost. And at the same time, I've had supernatural encounters on the property before. Like it's the place isn't haunted, but I think there's some sort of energy there. But anyway, so after the event, we're kind of chatting about it, coming down from that adrenaline high, right, that we had. Sean tells me like he goes for runs, and when he runs around the block, but he leaves that front door unlocked. Why? I don't know. But he doesn't stop running until he reaches the front door of that house. And he usually finishes when the sun is going down around 8-ish. And that's when this event took place. So I thought about it and I was like, I think I just answered the question of what your so-called ghost was. I think it was an echo of him.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. But that's how like this phenomenon works. It's not what we expect it to be. Now, why that happened, why we heard this residual effect, and why him, I have no idea. I can't tell you that. But it's perplexing. I don't know. But it was exactly at the same time that he would have come back from the run. If I wasn't visiting there, he would have been running, and
yeah,
that's what he would have heard.
That is fascinating.
It's not creepy. It's not like, it's just, but it's one of those things, right? That makes you think, because it's like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
I had another experience that was like, again, with like these echo effects. This happened at my house back in 2021, and I call it a mental overlap, or a precognitive experience. A moment echo, all wrapped up in one. So this happened with my wife and I. As soon as I opened the door to our house, so we had just pulled in through the driveway, put the keys in the door knob, and as soon as I opened the door, I thought I saw and felt a black mass in front of the door. And it was small, like my cat, which at that time was still alive. I don't have any cats now, but her name was Toes. Now, at first I thought
Toes?
This was Toes. Yeah, Toes. Yep.
Oh.
She kind of looks like that cat over there. So
that whole shelf is black. I cannot see now.
Oh, really? Okay. So the cat looked like this.
Okay.
So this was painted by my grandmother many, many moons ago of a cat that she had owned.
Her cat, not yours.
Her cat, not mine, yeah. But anyways, I thought Toes was like coming out of the door, right? But then I realized, no, that can't be her, because she always runs away whenever we open the door. So I didn't say anything about it to my wife. But after the experience, she randomly says, within like a couple seconds after that, she goes, "Oh, you know what? I just remembered I had a dream last night." I asked her, what was that about? She said in the dream that she had last night, she opened the front door and found Toes sitting outside, but she didn't know how the cat got out there. but she pointed to where in the dream she saw toes, and it was the exact same spot that I saw would appear to be this black shape.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bear in mind, I never mentioned seeing the black mass to her. She just randomly shares this dream with me immediately after my experience. I asked her, I said, why did you choose to share it with me right then and there? And she said that it just felt familiar in that moment, like it was like deja vu. But if she hadn't seen the door, she would not have remembered the dream.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her how come she didn't remember the dream as we were leaving the house earlier today, considering that in the dream she was leaving the house. She thought for a minute and then she remarked, oh, that is a little weird. I thought it was odd that I saw what I thought was toes on the exact same side that my wife would have seen her in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she brought up the possibility that, I was always worried about toes escaping. So maybe it was just my usual fear in the moment. I don't know. But that's the first time I ever saw a shadow like that, let alone feel it brush up against my leg. So I wonder, did I see a ghost? But if it was a ghost, it was of a cat that was still alive at that time. Had I picked up somehow her thoughts in what she was visualizing in the moments before she actually vocalized it? Or had I picked up some sort of echo from her dream?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just merely a massive coincidence. I don't know. But it's those types of moments. And then, for what it's worth, too, to make it even stranger,
Mm-hmm.
in our car ride just before we pulled up to the door, I was having a conversation with her about when individuals inadvertently open up doors to enable their psychic abilities, such as what one of my friends was experiencing at the time. So that's how this phenomenon works. It's very elusive. It doesn't give you answers. It just gives you experiences. And it's not for you to, do I have any evidence of this? No, I don't. But that's part of these experiences. They happen, I think, for us. Maybe to share something about our nature, maybe about our thoughts, about, I don't know, what path we're taking in life. I don't know. I could be reading way too much into this. And some of your audience probably like, get this woo guy off of here, right? But it makes you think, is there some sort of reality that we just tend to overlook because we're so busy staring at our phones or, scrolling through other nonsense or, preoccupied with other things.
Yeah. Ever since phones came into the picture, we miss so much of life now.
We do, yeah. But I think part of what I try to do, and I'm not special, I'm a nobody, but for whatever reason, strange experiences have followed me my entire life. But I think they tend to follow me because I'm more open to it, because I'm more accepting of it, because I'm not going to instantly dismiss it as, oh, that's just a bunch of crap.
Yeah. Or that's a ghost. That's a demon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because I think when we put that preconceived notion on it, then we do a disservice to ourselves, because now that's what we expect to find. It's like if you are, you expect to get that good job. Well, that good job may not be what you think is a good job at first, but maybe you're closing yourself off to all those thousands of other jobs that are perfect for you, that are great jobs, because you're so focused on finding that one notion of what you think is a good job.
It's like dating.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. You go into a bar, you got your mindset of who you think your ideal mate is, and you're going to miss all the other people who may be just a little bit different from your expectations because you're so focused on finding that number one dude, right? Or dudette that's whatever, that fits that mold.
Exactly.
Same thing with the supernatural. I just, I'm weird. I look at it in a different way, but it's fun. It's fascinating.
When did it start for you? Like when you started getting into it? Because it seems like it's been around for a while in your life, as you said.
Yeah, it's one of those topics that I have to be careful, sharing it with certain people because, I've lost a lot of friends to this. I've shared things. Some people have experienced things that they just can't handle or process. I remember being on a date actually at one point.
Wait, when you say lost
Yeah.
friends, you mean like or like
Yeah.
left?
Oh, left. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Not like,
Like,
yeah. Sorry.
okay.
Left.
Just so we're clear here.
Yeah. Decided this guy's way too weird. It's
Okay.
freaking me out or something like they can't handle it.
Okay.
But on a funny note, I remember being on a date one time and it was with someone who I was a really good friend with before. And she had asked me like, hey, tell me about, some of the stuff that you researched. Well, I thought she could handle more than she could actually handle. That was it. That was the end of the date. It was the end of the friendship too.
That was no details there, Justin. It was like we went on a date. She couldn't handle it, and now she's gone.
Well, we talked about the alien abduction phenomenon. So
heavy topic.
That heavy topic.
Was that a first date?
Yeah, that was.
Oh shit! Justin.
Yeah, that was. But I thought because of the years of friendship that we had, I could like share that. I could share some of that research. Turns out you can't. So, on a more amusing note, I remember being at a rehearsal dinner for a wedding, and I was one of the groomsmen, and we were doing the rehearsal dinner, and I was at the table with all the bridesmaids and all this stuff, and it was fun. We were having a good time, and somehow it got out. Hey, Justin is his researches this stuff, investigates it, whatever. And so those bridesmaids said, tell us the scariest thing you've ever encountered, right? I learned later on that's a mistake. You never truthfully say that. Because again, what you think your threshold is may not be what somebody else's threshold is. And needless to say, they did not sleep that night. At the wedding, the next day, they avoided me like I had like a contagious virus or whatever. And I asked some of the other groomsmen, I was like, yo, what's going on? And he said, yeah, you really freaked them out. Like they all slept in the same hotel room together because of your story.
Asked.
Yeah, but I learned,
Okay.
and I learned you have to be very careful because this is a very strange topic and it has many layers. It's very complex too. As some of your viewers may know, recently there were a lot of, there's been a lot of talk about this subject, about UFOs in particular. And look, my job is not to convince somebody one way or the other, hey, do you believe, do you not believe? I don't care what you think. I just know for a fact that based on the hundreds, if not thousands by now, of witnesses that I've talked with, there's something strange out there. And nowadays, it's actually coming forward in the press. The Pentagon has talked about some of these things. They've released videos showing some of these things. Did you know that? There are actual videos, declassified videos, that show these anomalous objects. We're past. Well, I encourage you and your viewers to check this out. I can send you some links too. I think it was 2017, the New York Times did a huge story about the Pentagon's top secret UFO program. And the New York Times, that's huge. I mean, that just doesn't happen. They don't cover stories like this.
No. Unless
they know it's true and they can back it up and they can verify it. And so they actually interviewed a gentleman on there who talked about it. He was part of the program. But there's just a couple of weeks ago, there were congressional hearings in Congress where they were interviewing UFO witnesses and people who had strange experiences. They showed video evidence. It's incredible what's taking place right now. So we're past the point of whether this strange phenomenon exists. And I say strange phenomenon because that's the whole point of my book. I call it the spectrum. Because the whole spectrum of strange phenomena, whatever label we choose to associate it with or put on it, I think it is all coming from the same source. I think it just comes forward in different iterations and different archetypes, different things so that we can identify it, so that we can perceive it.
Yeah.
But that may not be what it is at its core. Now, that sounds kind of enigmatic and cryptic, and I'm sure I lost a few more of your viewers, but the point being, it's a very complex topic, but it's a very serious topic. And what's taking place now, I think, is very fascinating. Um, this stuff is real. But again, my job is not to convince you, or your viewers. I just write about it. I interview people about it. I see how I can use my platforms to kind of talk about it in another sense.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you speaking on that experience because like as you said, it's a heavily like stigmatized area that holds a lot of fear. But how you're explaining it right now, it just sounds very warm, welcoming, and also like mystical
Yeah,
in a way.
it
And I
it
think that's
can
really
be.
cool. It can
It
be,
can
yeah.
be.
It could be a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, pre-show, there's a dangerous component to it as well. To
But yeah,
those
let's
you
talk about that, like of not being careful with stories like these.
you got to take a lot of precautions. When you're investigating these things, you have to keep in mind that it's not like what Hollywood portrays, okay? Or I should say the entertainment field portrays, where it's like we are in control. The reality, rather, is that we don't know what the hell it is we're dealing with. We have thoughts, we have theories, we have concepts, but we don't know which one of those may apply given a specific situation or scenario. So it's like what you think is something warm and fuzzy and like I'll just use an example, like a little kid ghost that's like, having fun with you and playing with you could actually be demonic in disguise and you don't know. What I will say is that things aren't what they seem in the paranormal. So we have to be very careful and cautious, even down to like the verbiage that we're using when we're investigating something or when we're in a location that has activity. So saying things like, show yourself, right? As you see on like some of these shows, right? Like, show yourself, right?
Dude, I play this
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of the game Phasmophobia.
No, actually, I'm not familiar with it.
It's a video game that's all about ghost hunting. You get an assignment, you have a ghost name, persona, all that stuff, what it responds to. It has all these objectives. And you go into the house, you even have the equipment,
Okay.
There's like things like the dots projector, EMF readers, sage sticks, like
Wow.
spirit ghost box, like, and then the whole game is to like try to like find as much evidence as you can. And what you're saying is there are some more aggressive ghosts that you deal with that they require, oh, the player has to be alone, or you have to say their name. Like, as you said, give commands. Show yourself. What
Yeah.
is your name? Are you here in the room with me? It's all very cliche stuff.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
also, like, as you said, like, the thing is that the funny part about Phasmophobia is that the more you say the ghost's name, you're
Yeah.
agitating it. And then
Oh,
that's when it starts like hunting you. So also the goal of the game is to not die. So the more you not necessarily interact with the ghost, but the more you like say its name or whatever, the more aggressive the attacks become. And the way to survive, you're going to laugh. You have to hide in a closet. That's the only way you dodge an attack is if you hide in a closet or you get a crucifix or something and then like it shields you. Yeah.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. See, that's that's what I'm talking about. Like
Mhm.
it's not realistic. Like there's no I think what people don't realize is how boring an investigation really is. You're sitting in a room for it could be as long as like 8, 10 hours at a time, just waiting for like a nanosecond of activity to happen or to manifest
Yeah.
um or you may be in a room and nothing happens, but when you review the evidence later, you may see a ton of evidence, a ton of
Mhm.
photographic evidence that you
That you
didn't
don't
see
see at the
with your naked
time.
eye, right?
Mhm.
Or you hear something on like a recorder. Um, it's bizarre stuff. I mean, but it's not like what Hollywood portrays it to be, or video games, or TV
Right.
shows. It's
Don't get
like,
me started on demonologist. That's another
yeah,
one. Cheap jump scares. That's all I gotta say,
really
Justin. All of it.
interesting.
Mhm.
Well, that I mean, and that's the thing. Like, there's a good friend of mine, is a real deal, demonologist or somebody who is trained in dealing with the heavier cases or the darker cases as we refer to them. And I've learned a lot from her over the years. But one of the things that she taught me is that you don't choose to go into this field. it chooses you. So like, if somebody out there is like, yeah, I'm gonna hunt down demons, right? I'm gonna be like an exorcist, right? I'm gonna do all that stuff. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. It chooses you. And oftentimes the choice is a reluctant choice because it actually takes something out of you. It takes something away from you each time you're involved in one of those cases. It like what was explained to me, it takes a piece of your soul with every single case that you work on like that.
Chills.
Because it's so intense.
Yeah.
It's, I have to be careful talking about it because just talking about certain things can kick up activity. And that has happened many times. I remember one time when I was, this was maybe 2008 or so. I was in an apartment. I was living in an apartment at a time, and I was listening to like audio files of somebody who was possessed. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, whatever. Directly across from me was the kitchen. And as I'm listening to these files, I'm not freaked out. I'm listening. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. The dishwasher unlatches itself, like unlocks itself, comes down right in front of me.
Whoa. You were looking right at it?
I was looking right at it. Yeah.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, it shook me up a little bit. When I used to go out on cases, I would just throw caution to the wind and, be very like cavalier about it. And I wasn't careful with like verbiage that I was using when on a case. For example, we were talking about earlier, show yourself, right? Well, you have to specify under what pretense should they show themselves, under what conditions. Because they could show themselves in your bedroom at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And if you're not specifying the ground rules, you're in for a world of trouble. But I didn't know that at the time. So I remember having experiences happen after I come back from an investigation, and it was terrifying.
Yeah.
For example, I was like just walking in my living room and unseen force grabs me from behind and pulls me back. And I go like flying across the room. Like, what the heck? Like phantom running throughout my house. Like it was unsettling. I would hear disembodied screams coming from within certain parts.
That's really intense.
Yeah. I mean, I would hear what sounded like, people that were living with me, my ex-wife at the time, coming up the stairs. I turn around, it's not her. There's nothing there.
Trippy.
She would experience some of these things too. There's so many other aspects to this phenomenon that people don't realize. It's very, but you have to be careful, and you have to also have the right mentality, the right intention. If you go into a place trying to, I don't know, like just get evidence so you get some followers on social media, whatever. That's not the right intention.
Entertainment. Yeah.
For entertainment, yeah. So it's like you have to be open to it, but you have to be careful not to. You have to curb your expectations. And just because something appears as something else doesn't mean that's what it is. It's the same thing with like messing with Ouija boards and stuff, right? You don't know what you're making contact with.
Oh my gosh.
You could be opening up the door to something that's just going to wreck your life. And that's often what happens, not just with Ouija boards, but any sort of like divination tool. So it's just like, I just wish like the entertainment industry would just cover that reality of it. And just understand like it's a very fleeting phenomenon. It's not, you can't control it. It's very sporadic. It doesn't happen on command. It may seem like it during the TV shows, but it doesn't. But it really, it messes people up. So there was one individual who shared with me his experience, and this is a very unsettling one. I actually covered it. I actually interviewed him for my podcast called Terra Signals. That's terrasignals.com.
Terrasignals.com. Your podcast. This is your show.
Yeah. Yep. Paranormal podcast. I haven't posted any new episodes for a while, so please forgive me. But there's a bunch of really interesting episodes on there of some of the people that I've interviewed over the years. So this man, he goes by the name Lawrence Miller. It's not his real name, but it was the name that he was comfortable using at the time. But basically what he did, since then he's come forward and revealed his true name on the episode. I can't remember. I think we used his true name. Anyways, whatever. he took a job offer in Columbia, South Carolina, and he relocated his family from Houston, Texas, to there. Um, but things took a turn for the worse as soon as he moved into the house. Unusual occurrences quickly escalated into full-blown sightings of demonic imp-like creatures that tormented him and his wife on a daily basis. It was just it was crazy, but these things are like so diabolical. It would only happen to him when he was in like a negative mindset. Like it seems like it was just it's a very complex case, but he and his wife and his kid, they lived there for 2.5 years.
Whoa.
Until they finally said enough was enough, where one of these entities jumped up on top of him and tried to suffocate him by pressing its body into his face. And he just kept like punching this thing. It messed him up psychologically because he was physically making contact with this flesh and blood creature.
That's huge. Yeah.
Packed up, got the hell out of there. He went to see a psychologist about this because it left these psychological effects, including diagnosed PTSD from the incident. If I remember, they analyzed his brain too, and they found out that the fear receptor in his brain had been completely short-circuited because he had gone through so many terrifying encounters in this 2.5 year span of time that he's not even afraid anymore because he just fried it.
Yeah. I didn't even know you could do that.
Neither did I. But it didn't start off with those imp-like creatures. It manifested as several forms in the beginning, like a Revolutionary War soldier, playful children, and then it just evolved into something totally different. But it was like, but again, what the hell was that? He doesn't know, but he still suffers from the effects of it, and even just sharing his story over the years, it's helped him to kind of like overcome it. Mm-hmm. And process it and deal with the reality of it. But you can even hear in the episode I conducted with him that I recorded, he gets choked up at certain parts because he's reliving that moment. But I remember meeting him for the first time years prior to that, when he first shared the story with me. And I was the very first person he shared the story with. That was really difficult. It wasn't fun. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't thrilling. Mm-hmm. It was terrifying. But there are a lot of these people all over the world who are experiencing these events that may be terrifying. They may be mysterious. Who knows? But something is going on. And my job is to just kind of like chronicle these things and share their stories in the hopes that it kind of like empowers someone else to step forward and say, hey, look, same thing happened to me. You know? So I kind of look at it in that way. What started off as being just pure paranormal investigating, just going on ghost hunts, right? Going to haunted locations for the thrill of it, evolved into something way more, I think, impactful now. So I'm doing less investigating, but more like just talking with people, more interviewing people. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely an interesting journey, but it started when I lived in a haunted house when I was a kid, mm-hmm. or what I thought was a haunted house. When I look back on it later, I realized it was just a haunted experience triggered by the negative energy that was taking place within my parents, arguing and impending divorce at that particular time. It was a very unhappy experience. But for whatever reason, whatever may have existed in that house at that time, it used that negativity to kind of manifest into something supernatural. So I didn't choose to get into this.
It chose you, as you said. Yeah. So would you say that now, you said you're like less in the field now, you're more into like amplifying other folks' stories and experiences.
Yeah.
How has this work influenced your own creative storytelling, whether if it's like film, screenwriting, or even client work and freelancing?
Well, it's taught me to kind of like to really just like to learn how to listen to people,
Mm.
to stop telling them what I think. Now, again, this show apart from this, right? This is all an episode where I'm sharing all the crap that I think, right?
Tell me what you think. Yeah.
But when I'm interviewing these people, I take a backseat to that. I shut up. I reserve my judgment because I wasn't there, right? I wasn't there when the experience happened. So I can't disprove it, but I wasn't there to prove it either. So all I know is that something happened that they want to talk about. They want to share. I don't know what the deeper meaning is behind that, but I'm going to listen, but when I hear some similarities between one person's story and another person's story on another side of the world, and these two people don't know each other, but they're both describing the same thing or a similar thing, I take note of that. And I'm like, I see some patterns here. I see some similarities. I see some kind of like some telltale signs of how the phenomenon may operate, may work. And that has helped me to kind of, I guess, be a better investigator, but also to pay attention to details.
Yeah.
To also like, it has helped my observational skills. It's helped me to kind of look at things in a different way. Instead of being so focused on something that I think is important, maybe it's something else. Maybe there's another thing here, and pulling a full circle to like, professionally, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes as designers, right, like we're so focused on creating a great design or something that is a pretty aesthetic or something that looks amazing or functions incredibly, but maybe we're losing sight of what the client really wants. So maybe there's another aspect that is actually something that we are missing. But if we're so focused on what we see, we'll ignore that, right? So it's taught me how to be a better listener, how to be a better observer, how to be a better contributor. Instead of instantly dismissing someone's quote unquote bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not really a bad idea. Maybe they're coming at it from a different perspective, and maybe I should listen to that, Not always agree with them. I'm not saying you got to, be a yes person, right, to everything. But, I think we can kind of figure it out.
Yeah. And also it's just important to consider other perspectives because as you see, like they could be seeing something that you're not seeing. And like one thing I hear a lot in the design industry especially is like the client doesn't know unless you show them. Which to some degree may be true. But how you're describing it right now, I think is just another really special perspective and way to look at it. Like maybe the client is envisioning something that you haven't seen yet,
Yeah.
and to respect that.
Yeah, because sometimes they may have a missing puzzle piece, but I think we just have to remember that, in spite of our differences, right, we're all in the same team. Like, it's like I said earlier, nobody sets out to make a bad motion picture, right? They want to make a good project. Nobody sets out to make a bad website. Nobody sets out to make a bad podcast, right? But things happen sometimes. And I think when those bad things, right? Those disasters occur, it's because like we're not working together, right? Like it's like for this show. And I don't know, maybe this is a disaster of an episode. I don't know. I guess your audience will have to say. But like,
no, you're good.
When we were talking about it pre-show, I was like, hey, here's kind of like what I want to talk about. Does this work for your podcast? Under the assumption that, hey, you're just going to say, hey, no, this isn't what I want to do. Okay, fine. Let's do another idea. Right? Like I want to be able to kind of like structure a good show for you,
Yeah. No, and I really appreciate that you sent over those ideas because you're I don't know. I felt really considered when you sent that message, as you were saying, like that you work on your observation skills and contribution skills and stuff like that. So I really appreciated that.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, there's so many bad shows out there. There's so many bad like productions out there.
I don't really listen to podcasts, but I have heard a lot of people say that literally everyone is just picking up a podcast mic these days.
It
and
is.
I'm like, well, yeah.
It is. I mean, look, to each their own. I mean, it's fine,
If it
but
makes you happy, do your
yeah,
thing.
look, hey, and you know what? Try it, right? Like,
Yeah.
try it. If you feel compelled to do it, do it. Just understand it's not easy. There's a lot of
Oh, it's
work.
not.
Yeah. It's like even this episode has been severely edited. So to get the best that it could possibly be, like, I don't know, maybe what I'm saying right now is going to get cut out, but look, it's.
What's not? Don't worry. Now that you said that.
But something just before that was cut out. But you'll never know, audience.
You'll never know.
But that's part of the fun, right? That's part of the fun in any creative project too, is like even like screenwriting, right? Like or just writing in general.
Mm-hmm.
The first draft is just to get all what's up here on the computer or notepad or whatever you use, to just get it all out on paper. The real writing happens in the rewrite. So it's like, just keep whittling away, keep editing, keep getting it down to the tightest possible project that you can do, or that you can put out there, that you can present, that conveys your message, And I think a lot of times, like even with like movie making in general, like no one knows how to edit anymore. You're having these 3-hour long epics, these 2.5-hour Marvel films, or just, you don't need that sweeping cinematic shot, right? Just get to the crux of the story here. Like
they are getting long.
And this is something
unless
that just
if
drives
it's
me.
Wicked, then yes, 2-parter necessary. 2 hours each. I will sit through the whole thing.
Look, to each their own. Personally, I think it's a marketing tactic, because like, who's going to watch the first
2
part?
parts?
Yeah, who's going to watch the first part?
I heard they're doing a double feature the day it launches, so people going to be in a theater for like 4 hours.
Look, I'm sorry, but like that's too long. Like I can't.
It is a huge chunk of your day. Yes.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think now again, I'm new to the industry, right? So I don't have all the answers, and maybe I'm naive to this, but I think like we owe it as a service to the audience to put forward the best thing we can do, but also be respectful of their time. Like, there's a lot more that audiences have to do in the day. There's a lot more that's vying for their attention than ever before. So it's like, I look back to like the old films of yesteryear, where every scene served a purpose. If it doesn't serve a purpose, cut it out. And that goes for anything, like a design project. Like, always ask yourself, why am I making that decision? Why am I making that choice, right? Why am I putting that extra web page on there? Do I really need it? What am I trying to say? Do I have to have like 5 landing pages when 4 would suffice? Do I have to, if I see one more website bio that says, hi, I'm so-and-so, like, really?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? Like, just, they know who you are. They're on your website. Do you need to reiterate your name, right?
Yeah.
And all due respect if you have that on your website, but I don't know. But it's like, every decision we make, whether it's design or writing or just anything in general, always have a reason why, and be prepared to explain that too. So that's kind of how like I try to live my life creatively. Everything has a reason for it.
Yes. Everything has reason, intention, thought, and care.
Absolutely.
Love that. Okay. Semi-final question to just round out this interview. Looking back on all of the pivots that you made, from your job searching days, mentorship with Adobe, freelancing, screenwriting, and paranormal investigations, and even until now, storytelling. What have you learned, and what advice would you give for anyone who's navigating unexpected pivots? Because you seem like a pro at this.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, like it's never a mistake if you learn from it. It's only a mistake if you don't learn from it. So every seemingly negative experience that you have in life, just, ask yourself, all right, what can I take away from this? What can I learn from it? if you're spiritual, like Katrina and myself, just pray about it, All right, God, like, what do you want me to do with this situation? You threw it in my lap. What do you want me to do with it? You know? Um, and if you're not spiritual, that's fine too, like, just understand that there are forces at play that are greater than you, like everyone serves a purpose in the grand design of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your decision may have an impact on someone else. And it could be something small and seemingly meaningless to you. For example, just opening up the door for a stranger, right? To you, it seems like a simple gesture, whatever. Why wouldn't you do it, right? The person's right behind me. I'll open it up for them right this way. But you don't know their story. What if that person is having a lousy day? What if they're, contemplating something really dark? You just opening up that door, showing a kind gesture, changes their whole mindset. And they realize, oh, you know what? Maybe I have a purpose in life. And now you started off a chain reaction. So when we're thinking about as human beings, like our legacies, right? And what we want to be remembered for, I don't care what I make, I don't want to be remembered for that. I want to be remembered for the impact that I had on others who make an impact on others, who make an impact on others, right? And it just continues that chain of positivity and like encouragement, because that's how we grow as a society, right? It's about our impact on other people. So don't underestimate that wherever you're at in life, your choices have an impact on someone else in some other aspect that you may not even realize, but maybe looking back on some of the events of your yesteryear, you can see what had to happen for you to get there. Sometimes there are these detours in life, these seasons of life. They're just temporary, but don't sweat it, And I'm still trying to convince myself of that too. Because like in these moments, right, we get so caught up in the moments that it feels like the world's caving in, it's just like, it's a bad day. But even a bad day is just 24 hours. That's technically a day, right? Well, in human terms, it's 24 hours. But maybe there's much more than we think, much more than meets the eye. And that's why I'm always going to be fascinated with life in general, because it's so beautiful. There's so many different aspects of life. And if we're just willing to open up our eyes and look at it, just like go outside, spend time with nature, like, get away from the computer screen, get away from watching this video, like just go do something, finish the video and make sure you like it and subscribe. Thumbs up, right? But then go out for a walk, right? Enjoy nature around, and you may find that you may have some interesting experiences waiting for you. And if you do, make sure you send them to me, because I will.
Oh, that was beautiful, Justin. If I could stand up, I could stand up, but I will give you a standing ovation.
I live each day like it's my last, because like I told you, at one point it will be. Same for you, same for somebody else listening. But it's like, if we can maximize our day that we're given, because it's a gift, right? And just use it to its full advantage, whether it's making a positive impact on somebody else's life or our own life or whatever, like then we've lived out our day. We've lived out the gift. And hopefully we'll get another one, but there's no guarantees. So just make the most of what you have today. You got to.
Okay, rapid fire round.
Okay. Yes.
First question. Are you ready? Answer as fast as you can, but don't worry if you don't. What is your absolute favorite design tool that you cannot live without? Go.
A Bic number 2 pencil. Wait, sorry, not a number 2 pencil. A 0.7 millimeter lead pencil. Big pencil.
0.7 millimeter. Yeah. Love that. Why? What's wrong with 0.5s?
0.5 is a little too thin. It always breaks off. I tend to press a little bit harder when I write with it. But the 0.7, that gives me a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more strength.
What is your favorite coffee or tea order?
Green tea. I don't drink coffee. If I need the extra kick, I'll do Earl Grey mixed with some lavender. It's also a nice combination there. Or, sorry, bergamot. Bergamot, I think is how you say it.
Dream director that you would love to work with.
Dream director. Oh, in film world?
Yeah, in the film world.
That's a good question. I would love to work with M. Night Shyamalan because I know he gets a lot of flack because, he makes some terrible endings to films, but his concepts are so strong. I would love to kind of like just collaborate with him and just see how I can be of assistance to him. So that would be one director I'd like to work with.
Okay, next question. What was the most intriguing place that you've ever investigated?
Probably Fort Mifflin in Pennsylvania. It served as a Revolutionary War fort, Civil War fort. It's been through basically all the major battles of American history. There's a lot of activity, and that at that location, you could take tours there. You can experience something strange there just while doing a tour.
Wow.
It's really fascinating. And almost every single time I've been there, I used to like train a lot of new investigators there. And I would just learn some new techniques and try different things out. I've always had some sort of strange experience there every single time.
Now I know you gave a lot of flack to Spooky Hollywood, but what is your favorite spooky movie or TV show?
Oh, there's so many. Yeah, some of the stuff that comes to mind, Alien and Aliens. They were really good. Terminator 2. That's my favorite one of the bunch. But I just watched the most recent Terminator for the first time. I was catching up. That was actually all right. There was like story wise, there were some parts I think it could have improved, but it was cool.
Yeah.
The Shining.
The Shining, classic.
Yeah. The Exorcist, of course. But I like a lot of the older films. Oh, Scream, the Scream franchise. I love that franchise. That's one of my favorites.
You lost me with slasher. I get it. Scream's very classic. I stopped at Scream 1. I'm like, I can't.
Why? Let me ask you why. I'm
no, for
rapid
me,
fire.
Yeah, rapid fire me. I have two hard no's when it comes to watching scary movies. One,
Okay.
slasher movies cannot do that, or like anything super gory where you're like swimming in blood.
Yeah.
And two, actually, there's three. The second one, shark movies.
Okay.
I can't do shark movies because it's too real. And then movies where people are stuck in space.
Stuck in space.
Yeah, like stuck in space. Your oxygen's running out. There's alien monsters like coming after you. I can't do it. But
Really?
put me in, like, oddly enough, movies about paranormal. I love it.
Huh.
I love paranormal movies. Again, like you said, fascinating. A little bit cheesy, but I don't want to imagine myself in their shoes.
Yeah,
because it's a very real possibility.
Yeah, and that's the scariest thing of all. It's scarier than any paranormal occurrence is human nature, and I don't like that. But all right, so here's a good one. I just remembered it. It's a longer film. It came out in the 70s, but by the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. It's called Salem's Lot. It's a vampire film.
Never heard of it. Okay.
But it's a longer one, and but it's very well done. Some of the scenes, because they don't. It's creepy. It's creepy as hell. Like, that's all I'll say. There's one scene on there I think is the best, creepiest scene I've ever seen in horror movies. You'll know exactly what it is.
Okay. I'll add that to my list of homework.
Now, it's a slow burn, right? The film starts off, it's very slow. Some may even think it's kind of cheesy, but it's really not. When they show the vampires, when they, introduce them, I don't know. I just love that. I love the old way that they did vampire movies with like the contact lenses in the eyes and like the makeup and all that stuff. And there's just something unsettling about that, something disturbing. That is how you do it. That's how you do like a good film.
Okay. If your life was a movie, what would it be called?
Everywhere, Nowhere. I don't know.
Love
All at
it.
once. I don't know. No, I have no idea. That's a really tough question.
Never thought of it.
Yeah.
You're writing a screenplay for your autobiography? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I don't.
At this point in time.
At this point in time, that's a really tough question. I don't know. Yeah, that is a really tough question. I'm not sure because, like, yeah, I can't come up with a good answer.
That's okay.
It probably, you know what?
As of right now, it's called Justin Bamforth.
No, that's a terrible film. Maybe it would be called this.
Working title.
What happens next?
Love.
There you go.
Love that. Suspenseful.
Yeah.
Suspenseful, but also hopeful. Open endings.
There you go. There you go.
Love it. Okay. What's more nerve-wracking? There you go. A paranormal encounter or waiting to hear back from a job interview?
Yeah, definitely waiting to hear back from a job interview. You don't know what to expect. And the thing with waiting to hear back from a job interview is, like, the more you anticipate it, the less likely it's going to happen. Like, it's like, you know,
that's
when
how
you're
it works
like,
out, doesn't it?
And they always tell you, like, okay, we'll contact you by Friday, right? Mm-hmm. Friday rolls around, they haven't contacted you back. Like, and then you're wondering about it all weekend, and then Monday rolls around. Should I contact them? Nah, I don't want to seem too pushy. Tuesday rolls around, you know,
throws you into a frenzy.
Yeah, maybe they forgot about me. Wednesday rolls around. You send out the email. Hey, just wanted to follow up. Don't hear anything. Thursday rolls around. You're like, I lost the job. That's it. And then maybe the next Friday rolls around, and then you hear back from them. And then it's an auto response. Sorry, you picked somebody else, right? Like, it's like that's just I hate it. I hate it so much. It's the anticipation of the moment. Even this interview, like, I don't know why I planned it so far out in advance. I should have just done, hey, Katrina, are you available tomorrow? Let's do it tomorrow.
This interview?
Yeah. Every time I do an interview, I hate just the waiting and wait. Let's just do it, get it over with, get it done, right?
While it's top of mind. I get it.
It's top of mind, yeah. So it's like, but with the paranormal is it can be so exciting that you don't know when it's going to happen. And a lot of times it happens long after you've forgotten.
All right. Next question. So you shared a lot of advice on this podcast today from, career stuff, job searching, and also even in the paranormal realm. I guess this is kind of a cop-out question. Not really. But what is one last piece of advice that you have never mentioned on this show so far? Relating to anything.
Piece of advice.
This is your chance to share something you did not get to.
All right. This is the most valuable advice I could offer. It's the most important piece of advice, especially to those of you in the East Coast, in the Philadelphia area, the South Jersey area, which is where I am, which is where I'm from. If you're going to get involved in Philadelphia sports, understand what you're getting involved with. There's a lot of heartbreak. A lot of heartache. But there's a lot of fun part of it too. So there you go. That's one piece of advice I haven't shared.
Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah. I'm a diehard Philly sports fan. So it's but the reason I bring that up too is it speaks something to the spirit of Philly people, South Jersey people, like this area down here. It's a never give up mindset. It's a scrappy mindset, that we all share. And because we're all trying to get by, we're all trying to survive, we're all trying to, like, do the best we can do. And that work ethic has always stuck with me. That's why I put so much effort into everything that I work on, because, like, that's how I was raised, that's part of this area. This is part of the soul, of this geographical region in the world. So it's like, it's tough. It's a tough area, but it builds character and it builds perseverance. And I think something to share with your listeners is it's not always just skill and luck. There's perseverance that plays a part into this. You have to keep going. Don't give up. Even though somebody closes the door on you, there's another door open, waiting to be opened. Just because somebody tells you no, there's another yes. You just have to look for it. Keep going. Because remember, you just need one yes to that, that new next job or that next project that's greenlit, right? That next person who, wants to interview you for a podcast. Like, it's just, there's always another opportunity, but you have to be willing to go after it and don't give up. So there you go.
Love that. I love how you just rounded that out and made it relate to careers. You really are a super mentor. You're amazing. And I could tell you're such a writer. You're very poetic when you speak. And I'm just like, oh. Okay, final question. Where can people find you and connect with you online?
Yeah, so just go to my website, justinbamforth.com. From there, you can connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, I'll link everything down in the show notes so you can check out more of Justin's work and his platforms and all of the stories that he has shared.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, Justin, that was it. Thank you so much for being on my show. One last cheers.
Well, yeah.
If you still have tea.
So, nope, just water. So
water.
just,
awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I hope
problem.
You had a good time.
I had a terrible time, but it was okay.
I tried. You know what? I tried my best.
No, this was great. I didn't realize how late we went. But I keep going. Do you want to do another 2 hours? Yeah, it's up to you. We'll save it for another show.
Yes,
but,
we have to do a part 2 because a part 2 is going to come.
Yeah, but look, you're going to, when you're editing this, you're probably going to fall asleep because I have an ASMR voice.
You do have an ASMR voice. I'm going to say that right now.
Saw you starting to fade. You're like,
relax. Okay, I was not head popping. First of all,
I was resting my eyes. Right?
It's not resting my eyes. It's crazy. Yeah, thank you so much for being on the show, friends, viewers out there. Once again, I'll have all of Justin's links linked down in the show notes. And don't forget to like and follow and subscribe if you're on YouTube to this podcast. Really helps me out. And also leave some comments. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those as well. I'll pass them off to Justin. That then he can answer in our part 2 episode. Again, thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next one.